Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and good evening, or good morning, what did it top my blah gut hello, ladies and gentlemen, and good evening, or good morning, or good whatever the fuck it is, wherever the fuck you are. This is AlchemistiD, and this is ALCH versus Parasite Eve. Whee. What? Okay, hang on. Burp, burp. Okay. No, this is a game I wanted to do in lieu of Code Veronica way back when Resident Evil 5 came out, but since Resident Evil 5 came out, I just figured I'd do Code Veronica because Resident Evil 5 came out, and then I ended up playing Code Veronica and Resident Evil 5, and I don't want to talk about it anymore! Anyways, this is a game I've been wanting to play since Mega Man Legends, actually. It's one of those, unfortunately, it's one of those problem games that, EPSXE cannot run, perfectly. And I'm running this in EPSXE right now, so I don't have to, screw with the, Dazzle card and, just wires, like, crisscrossing my room, AV cables, and, all that mess to record. So, welcome back, my old friend, the save state. Whee! That's a fringe benefit. I just don't have to. I just don't have to deal with, with EPSXE. I don't have to deal with running wires across my room, making sure that Audacity is synced up to the footage. Making sure that Stoic Capture is running and not dropping frames. I don't have to worry about any of that right now. It's just this, it's just Fraps, it's just my game CD, it's just, yeah. So, like I was saying, Parasite Eve is one of those problem games, and I've gotten it to run pretty well. It doesn't lag at all, even while I'm recording with Fraps, which, as we all know, will eat your fucking CPU. However, there is a, there is a slight, the menu sounds do take a while. So that's as good as I can get it. That's as good as it's going to get. The FMVs all work fine. At least the intro FMV, I'm hoping the FMVs work fine. The gameplay doesn't lag at all when I'm recording. So I think we're set. I think we're good to go. Anyways, this is Parasite Eve. This is based off of the novel by Hideaki Sina. I hope I got that name right. And if you haven't read the novel, or actually there was a horror movie, I think, based off the novel made in Japan. I've actually seen it a couple times on Showtime. It's pretty cool. It's pretty good. Yeah, I would recommend reading the book or watching the movie, as it really adds to the experience when you're playing Parasite Eve. The game itself is not, it's based on the book, but, kind of not really at the same time. It's sort of like an Elseworlds version of the book. It still stands up in its own right. This is back when, Resident Evil 2? Not even. This is back in 1998. Final Fantasy VII came out the year before, I want to say. And this is made by the same staff, I believe, as Final Fantasy VII. So you're going to see a lot of similarities in the engine. I'm not sure if it's actually the Final Fantasy VII engine, but I wouldn't be surprised. You're going to see quite a few similarities to it. And to Resident Evil. As a matter of fact, not so much as the second one. The second one is much more like Resident Evil in terms of item fetching and such. And it's much more action-oriented. Whereas in Parasite Eve, it's much more, the pace is a bit more deliberate. And back in the PlayStation era, and I mean the PS1, not the PlayStation in general, it wouldn't be too unfair to say that this game and Resident Evil were sort of dueling at the time. Both have their merits. I do prefer Parasite Eve slightly over the PlayStation Resident Evils, with the exception of 3. which I've said before is my favorite out of all the Resident Evil games. What else was I gonna say? There's something else I wanted to say. There was one sequel on the PlayStation, Parasite Eve 2, which continued the storyline of the game protagonist. And there is a third on the way, entitled The Third Birthday. Not Parasite Eve, just The Third Birthday, which will continue the story of the game's protagonist beyond the ending of Parasite Eve 2. Which ended on... I don't want to say kind of a cliffhanger. But sort of. What the fuck is up with that, anyways? What the fuck is up? You know, first you have, like, Mega Man Legends 2, which ends on a cliffhanger and doesn't get a sequel. Like a fucking Japanese cell phone game. Fucking, But, you know what? Let's dive in. I don't want to, like, sit here, like, yammering on and on and on. Let's dive into the game. Has arrived in Final Fantasy VIII.